7 o'clock on May 9th, 2023. I'd like to call the Town of Lake Mills monthly town board meeting to order. Notice posted at the town hall and town website. Can we get a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Can we get a motion to approve minutes from April 11th, 2023, 7 p.m. at Town Hall?
Can I amend something first on item E?
Yep.
That 2.638, way at the bottom, 2.63 acres is actually 3.07.
That was item B.
E, sorry, yeah, E sub I. Right.
And that was under applications, right?
Yeah, it was Rotz, Daniel Rotz. I make a motion to approve the minutes with that amendment.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Alrighty. Can we get a motion to defer the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to defer the treasurer's report until June.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Approval of the town board expense sheets.
I'll make a motion to approve May's disbursements of $65,500. Oh, I'm sorry.
Spreadsheets.
Yep,
Spreadsheets.
yep, sorry.
It was,
I had one and Jim had one.
yeah, Jim had mileage from the road tour, and then Sharon had postage and dog license.
And mileage for picking up taxes.
And mine with the border review training.
Right.
Yep.
You wanna see them?
I'm good. No, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the expense sheets.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Approval of the general fund voucher.
I'll make a motion to approve May's disbursements of $65,533.91.
Second that motion. Got questions on Rock Lake Paint and Repair LLC, 2015 and 2016. What?
We're still back.
We're still trying to get it.
Pay that off,
Pay
yeah.
that
So
off.
we're paying
How many more?
2 years at a time.
Okay. How many more we got?
4, 5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's a ways.
All right.
But we still don't have a contract for them to sign either.
Okay. No problem.
Yeah, it's a tough rental over there. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, reports. Please. Did anybody have anything or no? Mick?
No.
I actually ran into him this week. I can give just a quick one. It's a massive struggle to obtain police officers. He had 5 or 6 that he was looking at, and there's just been an array of things, including Dane County that's offering a heck of a lot more money. There was one that I think had full-time or was retiring. And then they gave him a kickback to stay on or something like that. And so he's out, and they told me he couldn't do anything part-time. So it's just been a massive struggle, but it's everywhere. There was one from the DNR that I think the city took. And I think there might be one more that may be able to help out, but he's got to check with the state. So once again, the whole police environment, and I think the Sheriff's Department gained a little bit, I think, but I think they may still be down. So it's just everywhere. It's an ugly struggle right now. There's a mass exodus of police officers retiring and nobody coming in. So not the best report, but he's working at it diligently and doing a good job at that. It's just a matter
That's out of his control.
yeah, it's absolutely out of his control right now. It's just the environment we're in. All right, Plan Commission report.
We finished up our review of the land use plan, and we're going to be looking at putting an RFP together to hire a consultant to help us finish that and basically get a price so we can budget it for 2024. And then we went over this information that is given to land use petitioners, and we added a checklist on the back for things that we should be asking them. So I think we're going to be looking to get this approved by the town board next month. That's it.
Cambridge Fire and EMS report.
We met the last 2 Thursdays in a row. All have been closed sessions, so there was no action taken. And then we have the meeting that's going to be closed session on Thursday in the Cambridge City Hall downstairs. So that's going to be probably a long one, so bring a lunch.
That's the Thursday.
Starts at 6:30, yeah, on the 11th.
Okay. And I know there's been some emails flooding in, and there was another one late today that looked like it was 10 pages long.
Yeah, you guys have been isolated from a lot of things that have been going on, so it's good. I'm going to take a guess that the first presentation with Mark Cook and our commission lawyer is going to be at least 90 minutes to 2 hours. Then we're going to be touching on some financial stuff, which I think should be relatively short, but you know how it goes. So I figure it's going to be at least 2.5 hours, maybe 3.
And most of that's discussion, right? There's no action at that one.
Yes, correct. Originally, when it was set up, it looked like because of kind of all the boards were supposed to have a table. The individual boards were supposed to have a table of their own. And originally set up that there was going to be a vote, a decision. But now it's kind of idled back a little bit because under the opinion, because you guys have been sheltered so much from what's been going on, that you're going to have some time to think about it. So that'll probably be something that'll be coming up in June also. But I'll have to see what happens and then probably put it on the agenda. But
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Joint Rock Lake Committee report. Thank you.
Okay, we had, the report is we're still short of committee members, of course, with Kathy resigning. I hear through the grapevine the city might be appointing somebody at their next meeting. We discussed articles that we want to publish in the Leader. They were all approved by the committee, and you have copies of them. The Water Patrol will do a presentation at our May meeting. I'm waiting for confirmation that nothing's going to prevent that, because if they can't make it, they'll let us know, I'm sure. We made assignments for our project as follows: water recreation to achieve lake recreation goals. Trish Fullerton will be working on that project. There's kind of some items that we listed out that were in our last report. Investigate signage, recommend the Lake Patrol increase education, and review the status and enforcement of laws regarding dogs on public beaches. The town and city of Lake Mills, this is the second one, should work together on new composting areas and yard waste disposal, as well as snow, to reduce phosphorus. I'm working on that project. Sandy Beach recommendations to achieve lake recreation goals. Pat Stevens and I will be working together on that. This next number 7 kind of isn't really worded well, but we're trying to make sure that we understand what's going on both in the town and in the city. So Pat is taking the city in every meeting, and I'm taking the town. Each of us will bring recommendations to maybe some other committee meetings we should go to based on their agenda for the next meeting, so that we can stay connected in all the other aspects. And Pat Stevens is taking the lead on further education and PSA information to be put in the Leader and other venues. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendy. Town chairman report, city, county, and state. Okay, not much at the city level. County level's been mostly road stuff. Met with Brian on East White Oak, which Matt Hazel, when he cleaned up sand or started getting it up on the end of the road, buried a culvert that's been buried for who knows how long. And then I had to get cutting edge in there to quickly essentially get some straw matting down and seed and stuff to keep it at bay till we can come up with a much better, at least semi-temporary solution. The resident down in the end, didn't rename, Orca. Karen, she thinks that Strand did the design for that, and Brian, we just kind of smirked. It was just a horrible engineering job to deal with the amount of water that has come down that whole deal, and a lot of it comes off of Short Hills Road as well. But, you know, essentially that road's probably not going to get done for a long time, so there's going to have to be something in play, at least digging pits behind what they typically had, you know, done. There was trees that were allowed to grow in there, and they're still in there. They probably need to be out of there, so those pits can be cleaned every so often, every couple of years, you know, at least on a temporary basis. So that, and then the other thing at county level, and this is more county and state, is that whole Rock Lake thing coming back full circle again. There must be a new guy essentially in charge, and they apparently didn't know what we were doing with the old money from the old grant, and some of that got lost in the shuffle. And of course, we were approved for the new grant with the bridge project. And so that's what prompted the letter, just to give him clarification, because I think he's kind of green coming in, essentially, that's how it's happened. Brian's confident that it's all going to continue to move forward, and is trying to set up a meeting with all parties, including SEH. Corey will probably have to be there from R.A. Smith. Essentially to work through some of the logistics so they don't have to shut the road, keep the road shut down to a minimum in that area, keep things as efficient as possible. The timeline on that looks like it got potentially bumped up from 25 to 24. Okay. So it's something that we're going to have to probably move on with Corey with engineering, and at one of our one of our future meetings here, not too far out in the distant future, to give them plenty of time. But I think we'll know a lot more after we have this meeting, because the state's been so back and forth on this thing. They're doing the bridge or not doing the bridge, and what year they're doing it. And of course, we didn't get the Mud Lake. That was the STP grant. So eventually, essentially we could reapply for that in the fall for the LRIP, and then just do a swap if the thing if Rock Lake happens in 24, we would have the cushion for that to cover that balance, essentially, and then Mud Lake could be, as soon as possible, 25, I guess, because that road's not holding up much anymore. So that's kind of the plan going forward on that whole deal. Barbara Dietrich, I think, she sent another letter, but I think I forwarded that email. Did you see that email about the state budgeting and what they were going to try to do with the 90? I don't know. We were going to receive roughly $90,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, for EMS, fire, police, and such.
Last I heard, the governor's consider vetoing it as well. So
what else is
it's
new?
completely unclear. You can't count on it.
Yeah, right. It's just that's what they're looking at, but it's not the definitive. But and kind of apologize that it's not a lot of help, but any help is better than no help. Right? So I'm trying to think if there was anything else on that front. That was pretty much it. Mainly been road stuff lately, just trying to keep Matt on task. And, I guess a quick report on that is he's almost done with the first round of potholing. And then it'll be kind of touching up a few areas that redeveloped, especially on Short Hills Road, and we're still waiting for that one to be swept. I think Nipert and Gallup got swept, and I believe Elm Point did, but I didn't get down there to check that. Ron was kind of spur of the moment. The asphalter didn't have enough material for all the potholers, so he needed something for a crew to do. So it was just kind of a quick bang bang. So apologize for that, but that's it's just kind of the way it goes. All right, Parks Committee report. Parks Committee, talked a little bit more about the grant at Mahala, the grant application for that through Watertown. And I think Linda's been corresponding with you, Rob,
A little bit,
on that, a
yeah.
little bit on there. Yeah, she may need a little bit of guidance on that, but that's all right. She's putting pretty good effort into that. And then they started looking at that other pier for ferry, for a potential DNR grant for Ferry Park. But Jason had to iron down costs, so we didn't really go anywhere with that. And that was pretty much it for parks. All right, Town Hall Facilities Committee.
We didn't have a meeting because we had the annual meeting to
Yep.
focus on, so.
Okay. All right, time for public comment. Now it's time for period of public comment. If you have something to say, please keep your statements to 3 minutes. Come to the podium, state your name, and your address, and speak.
Okay, my name is Susan Trier, and I'm at N6404 Cedar Lane here in Lake Mills, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. I was glad to see the Joint Rock Lake was going to take a look at the yard waste issue, but our annual meeting was pretty packed, and I actually had a chance to talk to a number of residents who are not in the Shorewood Hills area. And I was really amazed that there were so many people that were interested in a more rural setting with yard waste, a solution to their own yard waste, that they were tired of trying to stash it on their own property. Then there was an individual from Shorewood Hills Road who indicated that they were interested in a yard waste facility as well. And then I was interested in the amount of resentment that I heard from the non-Shorewood Hills people saying, well, we don't even get our twice-a-year John's pickup. So what this means to me is there's certainly interest in our town for something like this. And back in January, the city's Public Works Board had reopened the subject of putting together a new recycling yard waste pickup facility. And at that time, Tom, you had indicated to that committee that the town was not interested at all in participating in the conversation. And I think
That's not true.
I was actually there. So anyways, what I would like to see is the whole board to reconsider that idea. According to the lake management plan, one of the things that was strongly encouraged was that there would be some sort of joint facility between the town and the city, and to get it off of Rock Creek, to help with the phosphorus going into that particular water body. And I think that even if the town is in a position where they could advocate for their residents to pay additional fees or whatever, but to be able to participate in it versus having a gate locked down and say, sorry, you can't participate at all. So I would strongly urge the board to at least keep the conversations open and encourage that, because after that meeting, I had multiple people from the the Public Works Board say, well, clearly there's no interest in the town. And I said, well, it's early yet. Let's have more conversation. So that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, well, that's the Public Works Board. I mean, they've treated the town fairly poorly as well in the past, and that hasn't changed. They tend to make up a lot of things too.
Well,
essentially,
anyways, you're right.
So
but,
I did support a disposal site, and actually, Mr. Holman went to one of their meetings and publicly spoke, and he has the perfect site for it, just out on 89, and would do the whole thing. And I don't know if the city has gone any further with that, but you know, for the town to do one, and you saw the cost for a town hall was $2.3 million. If you're going to do a disposal site, you're going to chalk on another $500,000 to $1 million to that.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't
And we don't even know
necessarily
for
think
equipment.
that it's a good idea for the town to have their own facility, but given the size of our town with the few residents that we have and the size of the city, I think some joint facility where town members can choose to participate and pay a fee should at least be discussed. It certainly couldn't be we can't have our own, it's kind of ridiculous. But I do think some sort of joint something or other would be useful. We could survey town members, we could do a couple of things just to see how wedded they are. No one wants to be surprised, by input. So anyways, I would be willing to help on that project as well, so let me know. Thank you so much.
I'm highly supportive of it, and I do think, and we've already addressed this even with the street sweeping, that's how that came up at the electors meeting, was it is very unfair that the rest of the town doesn't get anything. Why are we treating one segment differently than the other? I think there is a great private opportunity where neither the city or the town has to even get involved with it. And it's just pay to get rid of your stuff, because you're gonna pay no matter where you go. I mean, that's just the way it's gonna be. And why would somebody wanna deal with all the headaches of that when a private entity could deal with all the headaches of that? And has the land to do it, and has the farmland to respread it on, which is even better. So you're going to one spot and then you can take it out. So I think that just needs to get pushed further, but I don't think the town is gonna wait for the Public Works, board to do that. I actually ran into Holman's Kid the other day down at the landing, and they're very interested in doing that. So, and they'll take even more stuff like concrete and some other stuff because they're recycling some of that. So, we will, eventually get him in here, but I think that's a really viable solution where we don't have to get involved, and then we also don't have to get tied into something with the city that's going to be exponential in cost, because those loaders and grinders and all that stuff, it is a crazy amount of money. And right now, everybody's strapped.
It would be really good if you did work with Steve to get a better understanding of what that would mean for the residents if they were going to be dropping off and things like that. I know Steve's on the plan commission for the city as well, so.
I would like to not have to be involved with it. It'd be nice to have a private entity just deal with all that stuff and deal with the headaches associated with it. Yeah, and for us, if we want to, do something, that buffers it or whatever, I mean, that can all be discussed. But I think that's kind of the route to go if they're willing to, go down that road. And I think it's a viable entity. And, I think sometimes the city gets pigeonholed into just wanting to do something themselves and have control. And I think they just need to break away from that, because it's close. It's not that far away. For a lot of towns to participate in that, at least, if the city can do whatever they want. But
I think our residents would be very excited about having some options. So thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, anybody else for public comment?
Yeah, I just got a couple of questions. Tom Murphy, Lake Mills EMS. Just wondering if you had any feedback. We got a letter, probably Dave is aware of it, or an email from Cambridge EMS chief. And Dave and I are trying to work on our plan and stuff. I'm just wondering if you have any feedback as yet as to what's going on.
I do not. I saw the email that Paul had sent with the offer, and I think what he was looking at was with that would be an easy amount because of kind of the run call money to help support that. I have not talked to Paul. I don't know if that's really a good number, and the one that we had talked about, I don't know if that's a good number, because I'm assuming you're going to be.
Well, the number I gave you was just what the appraisal came back with.
Okay.
And stuff. But I'm not sure that the number that Paul sent was realistic as yet.
Yeah.
I haven't had it long enough to really do an analysis.
I kind of felt the same way, but I guess it's kind of, we really kind of have to know is what you guys are going to need, the space you're going to need, because in the email that Paul sent out is, we need space for one ambulance and 2 paramedics or EMTs. So I don't know how if you guys are going to be occupying the building other than weekends, because then you're going to be out, to the racetrack, I'm assuming. So I guess if you're open to sit down and chat with it, then probably it'd be good.
I think that needs to happen. I've got sent this to the board of directors.
Okay.
This afternoon or today when I had a chance. So I haven't got any feedback from them yet.
Okay.
We may have to have a board meeting in the next week or 2.
Okay, that'll be good
to do that. I still have, as we've talked, I still have a lot of concern as to whether the finances are gonna be there to even pay the rent and stuff. Because as we've talked, I don't know if you've gotten budget numbers from them yet on what that's gonna look like, but
Right, yeah.
what I've done doesn't look very good.
Yeah. We have our, potential per capita cost. And when it comes down to the rent of the facility, that's going to have to be done on a percentage, whatever, the percentage of each township has in. So obviously, because Lake Mills has a larger percentage, we're going to be paying more than what Aston would be, or Milford would be, or Waterloo. So, we can expect that. We just need to sit down to see what your needs are going to be so that we stay out of your guys's, so we can work together to get through this transition.
I understand that. I guess the other thing we were trying to figure out is what areas Cambridge is going into and who else. We're going to the other town council meetings this week
Okay.
to find out what their plans are, because we still have to do submit plans to the state for what we're doing out at the track and that kind of stuff.
Sure, okay. When we get together, I don't want you to do it tonight, but when you talk to your board, and of course time is getting short, so we really gotta, escalate our speed. Would you be willing to share what the, again, not tonight, the cost of the building, for the sale? Because you had said that the building's gonna be sold, or is for sale.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
assuming
not for sale yet, but
yeah, but in your short-term lease was gonna be at least until the end of December, right?
yeah,
And then maybe.
that's what the letter was asking for, yes.
Yeah, at least that much. I know the last time we had talked, I was suggesting a year and a half.
Yeah.
To get us to that,
Right.
calendar year, but. So yeah, anyway, if you could get back to me as soon as you can, so I can set something up with, Paul, and we can sit down and talk with you.
All right, we'll find out what the board says and we'll go from there.
That'd be great, because I think we could be a good married type, entity there, so we help each other out.
Right, and I need to figure out what exactly the costs are in that area too.
Right, yeah.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Good, thanks, Tom. All right, any other public comment? Go once, going twice, three. Okay, applications.
Okay, so the Lake Mills Store LLC is the new legal name for the truck stop. They switched over. In February, they were told at that time to update their licensing, and they drug their feet, and now we have in front of us, and they're gonna be renewing it now under the new legal name, because they need to, and then they're gonna have to renew their license again along with all the other entities for the new year.
So this is just for a couple months?
This is for until June 30th. They should have put their application in before the legal name changed.
So it's all the same federal ID number and all that stuff, it's just strictly a name change, right?
It's a legal entity change, so the ID number's changed as well.
Okay.
Part of the reason why they do this is because the company that owns that is based out of Minnesota, and they were finding that their tax information is different than Minnesota because it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, so they wanted to keep them legally separated so it's easier for them to do their books.
So they're looking
They're looking for,
approval of these licenses to make the change.
correct.
2 months temporary.
So it's a combo
It's,
liquor malt.
This is it, Mule Shop.
And they all check out?
That's the new name.
That's the owner's name. The new legal name is the Lake Mills Store LLC.
questions, Tom?
No, I just said that they passed.
There's no background checks
No
done. on this one.
background.
It's just the license.
It's just for the
that's
license
separate from
itself.
operators.
Okay.
Operators license carry
All right.
over.
Gotcha.
Make a motion to approve the license carryover to the new owners of the Lake Mills Travel Plaza till the end of June.
Second.
Any other discussion?
And because the fees have been paid underneath for that 1 year liquor license and all that, and all the
They're
combos.
they're paying the fees again when they have to reapply.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works.
All
It's
right.
not
Okay.
prorated or anything.
Put it to rest.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, next one, discussion or decision to operator license for Daniel Stresse. It's
so-
tabled, we got to take it off the table.
You don't have to take it off the table, it just ends because she actually is not gonna be working there.
Oh, okay. Well,
That makes it easy.
All right. Old business, discussion or decision or resolution for intergovernmental agreement with Cambridge Fire EMS. Nothing there.
And nothing, that's all gonna be,
Our big meeting.
yeah.
Still on the table, so should we just stay on table?
Yep.
Yep.
Discussion or decision of recommendation regarding AS Citizens Monitoring Group as requested by Joint Rock Lake Committee tabled. Make a motion to take that off the table.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move from the table. All right. Any discussion on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the Rock Lake Citizen Monitoring for Early Detection of New Aquatic Invasive Species outline
Second.
program.
Any other?
Minor program.
Program, I guess it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can start
Project
it,
Playground.
yeah.
All right.
Make sure we're right.
All right, we got the second from Dave.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, one off the table. Discussion or decision on Joint Rock Lake Committee's request for fundraising approval for projects. Any discussion on that one? Complicated. I think, Robin, you had some
That one's on
information.
table too, so.
Oh, sorry, can we get a motion to take it off the table?
I'll make a motion to take out
All
the
right.
table.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, it's on table. There you go. Now we can talk about it.
True that, I mean, Wendy provided us information at the last meeting about the donations to local governments. It's true that they can be done. It's also true that they have to be done a certain way. And the way that they have to be done, according to the Wisconsin Towns Association, which I consulted with, is that the only people that can accept the money is the town, which means Sharon has to collect money,
Treasurer, she's bonded.
keep
for it.
track of who donated it and where it's going and what it's donated for, which is a lot of work. Going to be quite a bit of work. The other thing is that when your people go out to an event and solicit money for donations, they really technically can't give you cash, nothing. They have to give it, or
Right,
It's gotta go there.
right.
do it in, say that, pledge that they're gonna do it, but
Right,
then, hey, Sharon,
right.
it's-
That's how I'm setting up the organization, and we have the committee, how it will work according to your ordinance, which also has a lot of those same things in it.
so I don't know how they feel about it, but.
Well, I probably know how they feel about
Yeah.
it because they're part-time.
Yeah.
That's the part we struggle with, and I would be like, yip, hooray, with full-time positions, but they're not. And so to create another, potentially massive amount of work would be, they won't get their other stuff done. I don't-
But it would be different if it was large amounts coming all at once. But
Yeah,
it's
right.
$10, $5, $20,
And
that
we
all
don't
has to be
know.
processed line by line.
$500,000, that would be great, right?
Yeah, and we don't know
One-stop
that,
shop.
how that, how that would work.
Yeah.
We try it, I guess.
And I think, there's Rock Lake Improvement Association that is set up for it.
Yeah.
There's other entities. There's not just them. Because Watertown has one, too, that you may want to investigate. The city, I'm sure, probably doesn't have much interest at all with their Main Street program, which is unfortunate, but which really doesn't fall under that anyway. Probably the wrong name for the darn thing. It should have been community.
Yeah,
Deal.
those organizations are independent organizations, and, yeah. And we're recommending kind of setting up something that would report to the town, and as you said, make more work for people, but.
Well,
But isn't that what they asked us to do, and asked you to do? Right.
to investigate it, yeah.
Yeah, to investigate it, yep.
But I think
Which you did a great job of.
from
I'm
the
not gonna.
financial side of things, I think having these other entities gather the money and then make the donation to the town isn't unusual. I think that happens quite a bit with municipalities. They function as sort of the workhorses in order to make it happen. So that's not unusual to have that third party involved. So,
I guess at this time, I'm just,
Rock Lake Improvement Association,
Rock
or
Lake
something like
maybe
that.
could, an ad
Yeah.
hoc committee could form and.
I'm just
Those are
fearful
donations.
that in this environment we're in, and we're still, I don't know, there's a lot of people that are out of the COVID environment. Regulatory sure is, I can tell you that. They came out of their coma. But it's still a very complex environment right now, dealing with the state, probably more than ever than I can just seeing what I'm seeing. And to add that perplexity onto the challenges that we're gonna have with EMS and some of these other ones trying to finagle things and finagle money. I don't know, I'm just kind of hesitant at this time to do it, and I would rather see an independent group do it, and we don't have the hassle.
I have a question. How long do you expect this to last? What's the time period that you're going to be collecting?
Well, it started out two ways. One was to collect money for a certain project, which was the Magella Channel dredging. But then it kind of was brought up that we should, if we're going to have a fundraising committee, it should be a fundraising committee for city projects, or as people would recommend the projects. So the idea was that people don't just donate money for no reason. They have to donate money for an earmarked project
A
that
cause, yeah.
would be in there, so maybe playground equipment at one of the parks or things like that. So we wouldn't be the idea wasn't to just solicit
Right.
general money, it was just solicit per project.
Well, a good example of how some of that third party functions, the State Historical Society, they can't do the solicitation of the fundraising, so they have the Friends group basically, or the foundation group that does that for them, and then they transfer the funds into the State Historical Society. So it could function the same way, or Ashland State Park, they have the Friends of Ashland State Park that does the fundraising to give to the state, to manage the state park. So it would have to be kind of similar, I think, in that manner. And that's just,
But those
that's how they.
organizations are 501Cs, and they have
Right.
their treasurers and everything.
Right.
And they're registered with the state.
Correct.
So they are not.
Right,
But they would have to use a third party like that.
or create one, yep.
Or Rock Lake Improvement Association could do it,
Yeah, they're set up.
period, and they could do it.
Which I don't see why they wouldn't want to
Yeah,
do
I don't
something
see
like
that
this.
either.
I know they have agendas and certain things they want to work on, but why wouldn't they want to do something like that to help the lake? I just don't see why they
What you
wouldn't.
should work on more is a
We don't either.
lake management, work on a lake management district.
I mean, cleaning the lake is cleaning the lake, no matter what, what happens.
So I think we need a lake management.
Well, I think you do too. They just tried back in 1991 and it got nixed, but I think it's time again to try it again. That'd be a better route to go. You got a lot of people in Rock Lake Improvement Association.
Yeah, and that would be your projects only. right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you could tax for it.
Yeah, right, because they become a taxing body,
Yep.
Yep.
if you want to go
I
there.
think that's the route to go.
No, I 100% agree. That's, in the future for sure.
They didn't want to touch it.
You know.
They didn't want to do it. That's why
Well-
we're here. That's why this is being
Yeah,
done.
well, I don't.
Well,
I
the
don't-
district thing they might touch. That they might touch. I don't know. That would be did they say no to that? That's kind of
We haven't talked about it recently, so it's been at least a year or two.
creating a
since we
lake
talked
district.
about
I mean, that would be a whole separate.
Yeah, they don't want it because it's gonna cost them money.
I think the reason was it was just so difficult. I mean, it's really a good marketing program to get it started. You really gotta go door to door and get
It's
a lot of
years.
support, so,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, they weren't in favor of it a couple of years ago, but it may be different now. Like you said.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, it's, you know, in the state, you know, the county essentially, you know, came back and ruled that, so the properties, even like taking the channel, for example, your lot lines end, right? And then it's state public waters. So it's not really the town's waters, it's state public waters. And of course, the state is still trying to get a name of somebody that, just to come out and look at it. Because I know your struggle with the failed, whatever, phase one up on the upper end.
Yeah, that was just disappointing.
Yeah, very disappointing, but I'll tell you what, the state has a heck of a lot more leverage creating eminent domain for land for something that's coming into the lake than we do, by a long shot. And I would think, you know, to me, it's kind of embarrassing for them to let that go on when it probably wouldn't take much of an acquisition to get what they need to do and get access to that.
I think we need to get.
Because it's two landowners, right? Two landowners.
No, it's
that-
all the landowners.
Now they're all.
Except for one.
All right, well, whatever, that went around.
Yeah, I think that went around and around, and that,
All right.
there never was 100% supported there.
But getting off the beaten path a little bit. But anyways, that, you know, that's kind of where that sits, and, you know, so, I don't know. I would be more apt to do this if we were staffed for it, like the city or staffed, and we just are not staffed. I mean, you guys, the work's gonna fall on mainly them.
If there's a way of getting it compiled into a pool first by that third party, and then it's given to the town through that manner, it'd be a lot easier to manage, obviously. But we have to figure out that third party. Maybe Lake Mills Foundation somehow.
Who would hold the dough kind of thing?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't even.
Yeah, just see what happens.
You could check, I mean, you could check with a group like Watertown.
Well, I think, we could, but I think that now.
'Cause they're kinda geared for some of
Now
that.
we're not talking Joint Rock Lake Committee, really. Now you're talking individuals that want certain lake projects.
And that's
completed,
because of the
and that's okay.
logistics, and that's because of logistics of how we have to handle the
Right.
finances.
No, I understand,
Yeah.
100% I understand.
Yeah.
But I don't think that what you're asking is something the Joint Rock Lake Committee would probably want to do. I mean, would we?
No, I don't think so.
We're only like three people.
Right. I think you should concentrate
We don't pay it all.
on the lake management plan and do what, you know, like
But I
the
understand.
committee was set up to
Everything
do.
you're saying.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, that's a question we can pose, but I mean, for now, I just don't think we're not set up to do it. You know, not that it can't come back full circle if that entity exists to pool the cash and then it comes in a lump sum kind of thing. It's just gotta be something out there. But once again, I don't know why RLIE wouldn't want to help in that effort in any way, shape, or form, but that's just,
The backdoor talks haven't been real positive, so we'll see.
well, you want to help the lake or not help the lake? That's pretty easy. So anyways, all right. Can we get a motion, at least to do something with this for now, and
Table it indefinitely? Whatever you want to do.
that's fine?
Make a motion to table this fundraising approval for projects by the Joint Rock Lake Committee, table it indefinitely. Second, you take it off the agenda.
Any of the other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Table indefinitely until there is a viable solution. All right, discussion or decision of Clean Boats, Clean Waters Inspectors positions for 2023.
All right, so Patricia said that Dennis Clulo is willing to come back. He's done this for a couple of seasons for us. And then she interviewed Amaya Muntz, who was in the audience, for the other position. And now this year, in 2023, the city's managing their own grant And the town's managing our grant, so it's not the town doing both, thankfully. So Dennis and Amaya would be working at the 2 town boat launches, which would be the North End and the Ferry Park, if you decide to.
Okay. I'm all good with it.
Hire them, right?
Hire them, yes.
Yep.
Make a motion to hire Dennis Cool and Amaya Unks. Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Welcome to the club. Welcome back, Dennis.
You're right.
All right, new business. Discussion under decision or review of informational lake-related documents to be published by the Joint Rock Lake Committee on behalf of the town. I don't know what I did with them. They're in this pile.
Were these gonna be, they're gonna put them in for no cost, or, okay. All right, so just an announcement.
The one, I think it was titled, the one that talked about the boat patrol meeting and our meeting, that one's gonna be reworked, because it will be, it's kind of time sensitive, isn't it? So he's gonna rework that and take out the boat patrol being at our meeting. We were hoping to have that in before
Oh,
our meeting,
yeah.
but he could, the information, other information is pretty important too. That's in it. So we wanted to make them quick, simple, we aren't making them up, we're getting information from either county land and water or from the DNR, and they're very, pretty factual.
Straightforward.
They're not edited, by
Yeah.
us, they're just taken, we wanted to make them quick and simple, type little articles. And if they're willing to put in one a week or one whenever we get it to them.
And this will be published by the paper, is that?
Yep. And they said they could put it.
Yeah, it's educational, I think, as long as it comes to the board.
So it's considered educational.
Yeah, yeah, I'm all.
That's what we're hoping, we call them PSA, but that was really right.
Yeah, as long as you bring each one to the board for approval when you have them, when they pop
Two or three of them
them.
at a time, so we're, just in case we want to keep up on them, okay.
So the one would just be edited to take out the,
Yeah, the time sensitive information.
so we can get this one off the
Yeah.
table too tonight, all right.
Is there any common language that should be considered on each of these? So it's very clear it's coming from the Joint Rock Lake Committee, just so there's some consistency.
I'm hoping the title would always say Rock Lake,
Joint Rock Lake.
Joint Rock Lake.
Because looking at these myself, I would say if I saw this in the paper, the way it's worded, I wouldn't know where it's coming from. So it's
Right, I didn't put the titles in ahead of time, it's gonna be, did you know about the lake from the Joint Rock Lake? Committee?
Yeah, as long as you know where it's coming from. That's-
Yeah, that's important.
Make a motion to
Yep.
approve these 3 new briefs, PSAs, public service announcements.
There you go.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 2 wins, 1 tie for the JRLC. Gotta add humor.
Let me think about that.
So I can. All right, discussion or decision of Town Hall Facilities Committee directive after the annual meetings. Yeah, all right, I want to put this on here because it was pretty broad how it was left.
Well, we need direction from the town halls committee.
Yeah.
What's next, what are the next steps, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was, one, it was a very difficult whole thing to read because it was pretty even. I mean, when you look at the big picture. As far as how the voting went. And I do want to give a heck of a lot of credit to the Town Hall Facilities Committee. Jim Hine, I mean, they're all professionals on this committee, highly professionals in skilled areas. Jim Hines, an architect, Dave Radel in the finance world, Tom Williams with insurance liability, which is huge, and Greg Fraley with a building background, and of course Robin, our clerk, who understands everything that facilitates within the town hall, and police officers and stuff that were involved in the whole process, which took a large amount of time and a large amount of volunteer time. So I have no problem with the people's decision that night to move it to a referendum. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I respect that. However, to really unleash on a committee that's highly volunteer in the way that they did, I thought was unprofessional. And, you know, there's a way to do things and a way not to do things, and they put a lot of awfully hard work into it for something that they were asked to do. And the town board as well. So, you know, it is what it is, but once again, we have to give direction to the committee. It was left broadly to basically push it to a referendum, but push what to a referendum, essentially. So does that mean scale it back from $2.3 million? Does that mean add a disposal station? I mean, there was a lot of ideas tossed out that night. So I don't know what the other board members' thoughts are on the whole thing, but
The first thing you have to understand, if it goes to a non-binding referendum, that's exactly what that means. So after the non-binding referendum, whether it passed or failed, doesn't make any difference. It's going to come back to the annual meeting. The only thing is the referendum, you're probably going to get a broader view of what a lot more of the electors are thinking. But it's going to come down to an annual meeting, just like it had.
yes.
And just to clarify,
At the end of
not just an annual meeting, it would be an electors meeting. It could be a
Electors.
special, as long as it's posted.
Yeah, right, it
as
could
an
be any
election.
special meeting, so.
Right.
Everybody needs to understand that.
yeah, 'cause you're adding an extra step basically.
Correct, which is
Well,
going to
two
be
steps, because
probably $2,000 to $5,000 to get that on
Yeah,
the
it's gonna
ballot.
cost money.
So it's not going to be free.
which is, you know, again, it's fine, but there's a way to do it respectfully without being angry at people, essentially. And, you know, they did a great job in the times they did the presentations. They put out an excellent informational brochure that was all fact.
Yeah, right.
And a lot of the questions that came from
How did it get missed?
No Motors, they didn't even read it.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get.
You know, so they were just in here, you know, on a mission, and, you know, so be it, but just move it to an electors meeting and go from there. I mean, you can do that very civilly and respectfully. So I think that going forward, I mean, heck, I don't see, there's probably not a whole heck of a lot of them here tonight, as this is being discussed. But I don't know if it pays for the Town Hall Facilities Committee to have another informational session where they can show up and speak their mind, which I don't know if they will. It might be a waste of time, or, you know, 2 sessions or whatever to give, you know, we already did it, but, you know, to go back to it again, and garner a little bit more feedback as to how that picture should look. Just because there were so many things tossed around that night. Some were like, the growth is right about right, and some were like, well, no, you need it this size. So,
As the chair of the committee, I would say that I think we've honed in on what a real basic facility could be. I mean, some people don't think it's basic, but it really is when it comes to the greater scheme of things, as far as what we do for our town and thinking of growth down the road and the needs and such. I think we presented back on the referendum just as it is. We get a cost update on it, and then they vote on what have already been presented. Again,
Or do you need to break it up into 2 parts? Let's get the land done and then go to the building.
but the land, my understanding is by state statute, and Jim, maybe you've read some of this too, even on the referendum, it's still non-binding, because I think that still has to be voted on at an electors meeting for them to purchase.
To purchase.
For the town to purchase or sell.
And to sell, yeah.
So would it be 2 questions as a referendum? I don't know.
Do you have to have an electors if it's a trade or a swap? I know it's gray.
It's still purchase sale,
It is, okay, even if it's even swap.
yes.
I know it's gray, but,
It's best not to go into gray.
yeah, I know, yeah.
yeah. So,
The rest of us,
The
Jim,
other
what do
thing
you?
is, I don't know how you guys feel about the design of it. I mean,
It's not
Tom,
final.
you
It's a
mentioned.
concept.
right, yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I know, but-
Because it's gotta go out to bid and the whole.
The committee could work on, first, number one, getting a better estimate, a more complete estimate, which would involve hiring or going to a firm that does estimates on commercial.
Sure, yeah.
Cost us.
Instead of.
That's gonna cost you.
I think our architect was not so, I don't think their firm was that set up to do an estimate like we really need. I mean,
Yeah.
so that would cost,
Yep.
definitely. And the other thing would be to look at some of the design and, you know what town of Oakland's town hall is?
Yes.
It's basically a metal building.
Yeah,
metal
it's
sign.
a cut,
You could go to that type of a building and save some money there too.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but some.
Then you could dial it up, but, so Jim, would it be better to stay away from the commercial guys? Because you take a couple
Yeah.
of the builders that you have around here that are going to design and build, I think it might be, a little more cost effective maybe.
Okay, it's a commercial building.
But the thing-
But yeah, you could get
I mean, they'd have to do it in commercial
Residential.
specs,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I agree. Look for somebody that could do an estimate on this building and get a better price. I think 2.3, I think we were gonna be good. Even in
I agree.
2024, I think we'd still be good.
I think you could have came in
I
way
think we're
under.
high, because we've got a lot of stuff in there that, we had 150,000 for the land, where if you sell this building it offsets that.
It might be 10,000.
Back down 150,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
We were very conservative on how we estimated it.
No, I think
We
that's,
wanted to make sure we had enough.
you did a great job. There's no question about it. It was,
So Jim, you were,
Now we're gonna be a year further.
Yeah, you were-
2025 now, completion instead of 2024.
yeah, but you were talking about referendum of when, that was gonna be like a year.
April
April
2003, 24.
24, so it's a year
Sorry,
away.
24.
Right.
Yeah, that's the year earliest we can get on.
I mean, there could be an election in February, but if you have to have this in by a certain time, you can't count on there being an election in February. So the solid one is April,
Yeah, that would be a
primary,
primary. Yeah, you're
not
gonna
gonna
get
get-
turnout.
right?
People are gonna complain about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you want it on a gubernatorial election, or presidential election, so April.
and then at that point, gives us guidance, and then we have to have another electors meeting anyway.
So the thing with getting an estimate, how much do you think hiring someone to do an estimate is gonna cost? Or do we
Oh, yeah.
have a contractor just throw a number out to us?
Well, you want a good ones, good
But
estimates.
what if that same contractor maybe want to bid on it when it comes to that point, if it passes,
No
if we get it
problem.
going? It shouldn't be an issue?
No.
Okay.
It's gonna cost you a couple of thousand,
Oh,
3,000 to get an
I know
estimate,
that.
good estimate.
Everything costs more now.
yeah.
That's the,
So that's what we would need, the kind of picture we would need from the board is, do you want us to seek out someone to do the estimate? Do you want us to start preparing it for a referendum? Maybe that's the guidance that we need from the board.
yeah, if you don't want to have any more sessions where you want a little more input to shave a few things out or whatever, I don't know how much money you're gonna save anyway. It's really, you're talking 20 parking spots, how much is that really gonna shave out? It's not gonna shave out a whole lot.
Yeah, that's not.
I mean, it's like,
That's splitting the hair.
you take one bay off the building, how much is that really
Yeah.
gonna be in the overall cost of the building?
And
It's
until you
doesn't.
hone in on the designs more specifically, some of that could change substantially from what you're seeing on that paper, so.
My guess, it's, you've prolonged, and then now you're gonna go from 2.3 million to 2.5 or 2. I don't wanna think about it.
Gee, yeah. You gotta try building the fire station sometime, see how that works.
Yeah, right.
Well, we had that great comment, ex-law enforcement officer that, talked about that, and gave an example, so. How costs go way up.
One other thing that was came out of that meeting, and that one person kept harping on it, was the heated garage. And you're storing a police car in it with electronic equipment and computers, radar.
Gotta keep it dry.
Very expensive. Yeah, you don't want any condensation. We're not talking 70 degree, we're talking 55 or 60.
Yeah, 45 to 50.
To keep the
Yeah.
condensation out of the
Exactly.
equipment and prolong its life. And, that's,
We have a heated garage, and it costs us maybe $2,500 to put it in.
anybody that has a house with an attached garage, that garage is 50 degrees.
Most of the
Takes the
time.
heat from the house. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's 25 below out in
Yeah.
the garage.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted.
But you're talking about something, an HVAC unit. I mean, if there's, it's not, you're not talking like, I mean, in the overall of a $2.3 million project, yeah, what could you whittle it down to?
Talking $4,000 or
$1.9 million, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, you know, is that really gonna change the minds of the negativity that got splashed all over social media, which a lot of it was fake news, you know, which is unfortunate because it wasn't based on fact, which was really well spelled out in the brochure and the presentations.
Well, in the end, we're putting information together for the electors to make the decision. That's what we're doing. That's our role in this, so. What is it that the town board would like for the facilities?
Well, what if you went to a guy like Christian Stubbs and had them, you know, put down, give them the concept and say, hey, I think this is what it's gonna cost? Or what if you go to a Lowe's?
I know somebody that can,
You know, and just do that, just to see where they would come in, because I can't believe if they can build a townhouse for $150 a square foot, and then that is priced at, what, $250 or $300?
Well, yeah, it's over that, 350 at least.
You know, I guess that would be my opinion,
Yeah, I mean,
because it gets a little scary, you know?
well, I think you got that. I think that's the right direction. I think that's
So-
Jimmy.
throw in a motion first then.
Yeah, well,
Please.
why don't you make the motion since you, well, I can make it. I make a motion for the town hall facilities committee to detail costs through a construction firm to get a better, well-rounded figure to bring back for the referendum. That's motion one.
Second?
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Do we need to move it? Do we need to move the other one to referendum? Not tonight, all right.
Just so
We're
people
gonna
know, we do have a facilities meeting tonight, or not tonight, Thursday night, May 11th. Jim won't be there because he's got another obligation, but
Well, Dave
open to
said,
the public.
Dave said his, I won't be needed till 2 hours after that one starts, right?
Was that me too?
You guys are not gonna be isolated to what's been going on. You're gonna pick your job up.
Okay. So, I won't be at the meeting, Robin.
all right.
Oh, and no disrespect to the reporter in the back on the one comment, so.
Yeah, just strike that.
Discussion or decision on excavation permit requirements, conditions, and issuance.
I like all the information that was put together. Basically, was the excavation permit and agreement letter that Robin put together. You got that one, right?
Yeah, the letter I created, then the agreement was created by Eric, the attorney. And then the conditions were started as a sample that Eric had that Corey boned in for us, our engineer.
Yeah, so we have the, the permit conditions, which would go along with the permit. The reimbursement and bond agreement, that's the one we need to talk about a little bit.
Yep.
And then our application, excavation application permit. The one that we have on the books now. That's the one. Sorry.
That's all right. I know, mine was probably going before anyway.
So the letter, or the reimbursement and bond agreement, that's the one that we need to talk about, I guess. Tom, you listened into that meeting that was at the county. Rob and I were there. They basically didn't want us to do any type of bonding down there.
Yeah.
They think, you know, I went up to our cabin up in Jackson County, and their same company, Bug Tussle's putting this stuff in up there already. And they got these boxes at every residence. There's a box, and the line to that box is fine in the ditch. There, you can't even tell that they were in the ditch. But maybe the minute you get to the box, that's where they dig the hole, and then they, you know, there was some areas that weren't restored yet up there, and those are the areas you want to make sure that they get done. So we got to have some kind of teeth. And 150,000, our attorney says we can't do that. He said we can only do 10.
Right.
And then that's questionable, but.
Well, I think that, yeah, and I think the county kind of put us between a rock and a hard place on all this.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it for one, they're taking care of one group.
Right.
And now what do we do with
other.
the rest? Now, however, we could challenge that. We don't, just so I clarify my understanding of all this, the bond would be in the permit ordinance or excavation ordinance, or how would that language, because I think that's where we're gonna run into a dilemma. Is there a bond ordinance, like we have an ordinance that we could push back on the county and say, boom?
Yeah, our ordinance.
In the excavation ordinance, I think it states in there that we can require a bond, does it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, okay, so we
have an ordinance on the books, 5-1, and it does say.
So I think we
talks
hold
about
water
the two-
there.
It even
That was-
talks about the 2-year maintenance after the project is done, so, I mean, it's all in our ordinance, bond and private excavations requirements, so. Doesn't list number, amount, but we can do it.
Yeah, so I think,
Either a bond or a letter of credit or actually deposit of money, I think.
how was Bug Tussles work out by you? That was my next question. Because they did they worked in Florence County a lot, and they actually have done pretty good work on it.
It was good,
Yeah, I mean, they were probably gonna be my least of the concerns.
yeah,
rather than-
yeah, I didn't have a problem.
Not to discriminate, but it's just.
I think the biggest thing is we have to be consistent, because we're getting hit with a lot of different companies that
Right,
do
That was
this.
my thought.
Right.
And I understand Bug Tussle is under the county's umbrella when it comes to their bonding, that's fine, but that does, and it sounds like the county would help us out if we have issues with them doing things.
With Bug
So,
Tussle.
with Bug Tussle.
Which I think they could manage. I mean, I think
So if you don't want to see,
that would probably work, but I just,
if you don't want to see a bond from Bug Tussle, then that's got to be very clear in motions. But then the rest of them, you got to be very clear what you expect from them, from all of them consistently.
well, I guess that's kind of a legal term from the county, wouldn't it be?
I guess I would charge Bug Tussle a bond too.
That's what you gotta kind of do.
You gotta treat them all
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know how you could, because otherwise you're gonna have to basically go to the county and Ben and their attorney and say, okay, well, when all this push comes to shove, are you gonna back us on this? And, that's
County's
gonna
gonna
get
put us
hairy.
in a spot because they decided on this company without us having a say in some of it, and understanding that some of us have regulations on the books.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was right or wrong, but you gotta go with somebody, but.
Right.
The county's bond was,
Just puts us in a-
county's bond is because they are partners with Bug Tussle
Yep.
on this project. They purchased the stuff they're putting in the ground. The
Right.
county has that stored at their
Yep.
shop.
So that's where they
And
had to take
their
their
bond, their bond is to protect that material in case Bug Tussle defaults and moves on. The county has
Yep.
money to pay for that stuff.
Right.
Yep.
It's nothing to do with restoration in the ditch, the county's bond.
No, I think that was, but part of that agreement was for all of us to kind of sign off on it, that everything was good, but I don't know how that, I don't know, I kind of roll my eyes on all that, because that's, how are you gonna police that? What are we, we're gonna have to have our town engineer do a lot of this, some of it, where does that
And
fall?
we can charge back for actual costs, which is what that agreement's about.
yeah.
We don't have a permit fee because that's the catch, is that we charge back those actual costs. Just like if We Energies came in and left a place a complete mess, we'd have somebody come in and fix it because they wouldn't do it. We can charge We Energies back for that cost too. But we don't charge them a permit.
I think we should do a $10,000 bond requirement, which only is gonna cost them $1,000. A bond's usually 10% of what.
Oh, they got the money.
Yeah, it's $1,000.
Yeah.
It's not, so, and then we're protected for $10,000.
So the $10,000 bond for all of them?
Yes.
Yeah. So the letter,
That's per year?
yes,
Okay. Is that how I have it written on the letter?
yeah, for a period of 5 years.
Okay.
Yep,
Just to make sure you don't have to do any updates.
because, well,
Well, you have to change that to 10.
Okay.
but, yeah, and the big thing is Bug Tussle has got the majority of our, it looked like they had the majority of that big picture in the county.
Right.
Well,
Versus the other ones, unless the other ones buy on to them, but use
Well,
their stuff.
they
so.
changed some roads, they left a lot of the Goshkonak area off. that they had originally thought about going through, and they changed that, so.
Well, they're all gonna run their own lines. They're all gonna run their own conduits.
Right, but it's who pays who to do it, and Bug Tussle had the major percentage of our deal. They
They're gonna
looked
have-
like they had Short Hills neighborhood and all those big residential
And
areas.
when I talked to Corey too, part of his job can be to help coordinate these companies so that if they're putting a line in, they can coordinate, so they're doing as least invasive work as possible if they're gonna be working in the same area. So they're not just coming and ripping it up once, and another company's coming and ripping up it again.
Right.
That's where Corey's valuable for us and our residents, because he can help coordinate that so that it's minimized.
Yep. I agree. I think, the communication will have to go, if we decide to do this, it'll have to go back to Ben then and just say we are implying a bond for all groups to treat everybody equally. And then, well, politics start, I guess to say. So,
Well, I don't know, I didn't like the committee that's running this at the county. Their attitude is that they're putting too much trust in these contractors. That's my opinion. They just think that they're gonna do a perfect job and nothing, there's gonna be any problems. Well,
oh no, we
I
got
don't
big
work
problems.
Yeah.
so I don't know why they feel that way, but.
Go into some of these areas, there's still holes where they didn't patch stuff right in the road.
So I make a motion that we make them pay the engineering fees and provide the bond, $10,000 bond for the town, and then send them all this information.
There'll be the letter.
The letter, the
Include an
commit.
application.
Yeah.
Bond,
And you can send them our ordinance too. if you
and
want.
ordinance, okay. I think that's wise.
Second.
Any other discussion?
The only thing what I'm wondering is on the permit conditions, is this gonna go out with them, or is that just pretty much for the charter?
No, that's gonna go out to everybody.
Okay, then, I was just kinda curious about, on the first page, number 2B, there must be a 6-foot clear distance between the curbside face of the cabinet and the back edge of the curb, or the outside edge of the roadway shoulder if there is no curb. Do you think that 6 foot is enough? I mean, they got 33 feet.
Does it say minimum of?
Yeah, so the distance must be a 6-foot clearance between, I'm assuming it would have to be, a minimum of, it can't be closer than 6 feet, but, is that gonna be a flush top box like I've seen
Yes.
over in Johnson's Creek?
Yeah.
So there won't be anything that's sticking up that a snowplow could,
Sure off.
yeah,
No, they're flush with the ground.
okay, all right.
They're fiberglass and they're about, some are this big. And they've got a
Yeah.
tab on that pops off.
Sure, like what they came down Highway A with here a couple of years ago, okay. And then that's not so bad, they don't have that
Do
obstruction.
you feel like that needs to be clarified by Corey on that item number 2, whether it should be a minimum of, or?
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I would say, it should be a minimum.
What they said at the meeting is that Bug Tussle said that they want to run as far away from the road as possible. So they
On
get
the backside of the ditch.
Yeah, the
Which
backside
makes
of the
sense.
ditch.
Yep. Yeah, they don't want problems. That's
You
just
know,
what it's for them.
I've worked with a lot of contractors, and what sometimes the project manager and the contractor and what really happens never lines up. And the best way to get this is going in. To clean up after really gets to be,
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's,
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Discussion or decision on setting date for 2023 border review.
All right, so,
Ay, ay, ay.
what was the date, June 6th? 8th, sorry.
8th is the latest you can do it.
I think we said it, we tell them when we're gonna hold it. If you'd rather have in the evening,
What is the date?
8th, is that what you need?
It's got to be
double
within
check.
45 days of the last Monday of April. and I think that's June. That's what we were told
Yeah.
at our training.
Is that what the guy, is it that guy can do it then? I know the 7th
Well-
was tossed out there.
You can open it up, but then adjourn to another date,
Yeah,
but
that's not real good practice,
no,
though.
it's not.
I think
Get it
this
over
company
with.
that we currently have, no offense to them, but I think that's kind of how they have functioned. He's got June 5th available. The original date he sent out was June 7th.
June 7th. That's a Wednesday night. That's okay with me.
That'll work for me too. I got that other meeting, but it's during the day, so
Okay, so
I'd
you
rather
wanna
just
do
get it all over with.
Wednesday night on June
Wednesday.
7th.
Yeah.
And what time? 6 to 8 or 7 to 9?
I can, what's the earliest?
When does it get dark for Dave?
Oh, yeah, because you're gonna be the busy one.
Hopefully everything is all sewn up and we're just waiting for the crop to grow before we spray our second
Okay.
application, so. And it really, I guess.
Could we do like a 4 to 6 or no? Is that too
Yeah.
early for you?
Yeah, I think that would probably be better.
That works for me, huh?
Yeah, 4 to 6 is fine.
Let's do a 4 to 6.
Okay. I will shoot that out to him and make sure that it's set up. Now we gotta get the notices going.
Okay. So we're gonna get a motion for that, June 7th, 4 PM.
Make a motion to hold the border review Wednesday, June 7th, from 4 till 6 PM.
Second.
All right, any discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, say nay, motion carries. All right, discussion, decision, appointment of Board of Reviews, alternates.
We have not appointed alternates for the board review for quite some time.
Well, we have an ordinance, right?
We do, but I'm not sure, I think we used to have people listed in the ordinance.
We do.
which
Still do.
We still do. We haven't updated it.
Steve Nass, Sarah Michka, Sarah Fitzgibbons, and there's 4.
Is it just Swope?
No,
No.
it's newer. It was done not too long ago, 4
Okay.
years ago.
So if you don't feel like there's any need for that, that's fine. I just threw it on there because I knew that was something we hadn't looked at for a while. And I know Dave with farming, and you had said that you may not be able to make something.
That was the 7th, I didn't know how that day
So
was
we
gonna shake
wanted to
out.
make sure we had some alternates just in case.
Yeah,
Right.
no, it'll be okay, I think.
Okay.
So we don't really need to do anything with that. All right. Can we get a new template from our attorney, though, something more updated?
For the border review.
Yeah.
That's in the book
Yes,
that I
in the
got.
packet.
You got one,
It's
right?
training.
And they said we should use the new one that I just got the other night.
Okay.
And Robin has.
Excellent, that's even better. All right, discussion decision, a letter to Jefferson County Drainage Board.
We just need to make sure that's what we want to see in the letter before we send it off.
Looked good to me.
Yeah, I thought it looked well covered everything.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'm good.
Make a motion to approve the letter from Knutson, Hickston, and Rosenberg to the Drainage District.
Second.
Any other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed say nay, motion carries.
All right, I'll let them know to get that sent off for us.
Okay, discussion or decision, repair work to be done at the north end pier before install. Well, one of them's installed already, so I'll just clarify that.
Is it possible to take the other, we can float off?
Oh, it's not the issue.
Oh, it's not?
No, we're all good there. It's the sleeves in the water got bent like
And,
that direction. I don't know how, but it's,
and they had them, the
they're
sleeves
bad.
themselves were marked before they started that work, so they knew where they were, so that was not.
Well, I don't know how it happened. It could have been a boat trailer, it could have been a lot of different things, but they're bent that way out towards the water, which makes it look like something coming down the ramp that hit them.
Yeah.
But we got a specialist, this Ed guy that's working, he must subcontract with D.L. Anderson. That's trying to figure out a solution to straighten those things out. You can't really pound the posts in to the dirt, I mean, you can, but there's so many rocks there, you're probably gonna bend your posts, and then it's gonna be really difficult getting it out in the fall. So it's really just a matter of getting the sleeves fixed and how long that's gonna, these guys are all behind the schedule. I mean, all of them are 3 weeks behind schedule. We got one in, which is good news. It was better than none. But I don't know how long it's gonna take. I don't have a gauge on that. Be nice before Memorial Day, but I don't know if that will happen or not. I will say Dale Anderson's been really good about fighting to get this done, which is really good moving forward to continue to use them for repairs and whatnot. Been very honest, so which is good. So I don't have a cost on it. It's by the hour, $200 an hour
Basically,
for the
just-
barges and
You just say you move forward with it and get it done?
yeah,
Because it's gonna come out of the Rock Lake account,
Yeah.
please.
yep.
So,
I make a motion to move forward with the repair work at the North End Pier.
Second?
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Correspondence.
I don't really have anything other than advertisement stuff, so.
Well, we got that one email today, but on the sand sweeping.
Well, and I noticed somebody had posted that they've been picking up these metal spines when they're walking, so Ron's brush, you might want to talk to him about that in case it's starting to fall apart when he's sweeping.
Ouch, that doesn't sound good.
No, so,
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of asphalt sweeping out of the gutters, I know that. Little pieces. But, ouch. Yeah, that's all. I didn't really get a whole lot other than that.
okay. Meetings,
I just gave you that correspondence on EMS training and firefighter training that I got from the county.
Yeah, thanks for that.
It's
That's it.
interesting that how much time EMTs have to spend. It's huge. And how much money. it costs.
EMTs, advanced, then a whole nother level.
Firefighters,
Paramedics, crazy.
And then they have to have continuing crediting
Yeah,
and training.
you wonder why there's a shortage of volunteers these days.
Yes, they have a lot of
It's not
time.
volunteer anymore. Anyway, that's all right.
Discussion of future agenda items. We'll have to have an East White Oak Park drainage issue on there at some point, but I don't know when that's gonna be.
well, things I've got listed, not necessarily for June, but things we do have listed is the checklist from the Plan Commission, the RFP from the Plan Commission for land use plan, Cambridge Fire and EMS, is that the intergovernmental agreement?
IGA.
Okay, and then the Rock Lake Road project grant, liquor license have to be done in June. You said White Oaks, culvert, yard waste site discussion for future somewhere.
Yeah, I'd put it on there. I mean, I'd like to get Mr. Holman in here he publicly spoke at the Public Works Board and they I don't know where they went with that. I don't know. There's not been a great relationship there, and I know Matt Hazel has also expressed maybe some interest, maybe at least in the town pickup stuff that Johns does. But, I think an independent site makes a lot of sense to not have to deal with any of that.
And just contract it out. Okay.
Askelin used to collect theirs.
They don't anymore.
Well, they
Well,
do.
they do.
Certain hours.
Oh, okay.
Wednesdays and Saturdays, and it's not at the town hall anymore, it's at, where the old dump used to be, Zimmerman Lane, off of Harvey Road, isn't it?
Okay.
And they share with Johnson's Creek. So Johnson's Creek,
They close theirs up.
yep, so they all take theirs out there, and then Johnson's Creek has the equipment to go out there and grind it up and stuff, so.
And that has to be DNR regulated, so it's not something you just go ahead and do.
Yeah, right, you gotta deal with all those
Yeah.
things too. What about putting that land on Conservation Road on a future agenda, like what are we gonna do with that piece?
That again have to be approved by the electors.
It would, but it'd be nice to discuss it and see what, at least find out what the heck it's worth or something, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just sitting there doing
Get an
nothing.
appraisal and
It's no
stuff.
good.
Get the money in the financial room so
Yeah.
we can make some interest.
Alright.
I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I think that was top of my brain right now anyway.
Okay.
All right, meeting scheduled, June 1st, 2023, Parks Committee meeting. June 6th, 2023, Plan Commission meeting. June 8th, 2023, Joint Rock Lake Committee meeting, 6 PM. June 8th, 2023, Town Hall Facilities meeting, 7 PM. And June 13th, 2023, Town Board meeting, 7
June
PM.
7th, Board of Review.
Which I'm not here at, I will not be at that one.
Not the
June.
town meeting.
Town meeting.
Then you got June 7th, Board of Review.
June 7th, Board of Review.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any other discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:26.